Recently, I listed the most hated opposing players by every NFL fan base. But now, I'm asking you to look in the mirror and see what's in your black heart. We all hate the other guys, but it takes a different kind of athlete. Whether it's due to a lack of effort, apathy, avarice, or a hunch for untimely mistakes, that gets a fan to turn on a guy who's wearing the same colors as them. Today, we're naming every NFL fan base's most hated player from their own team. And that's coming up right after this. Ho ho ho's, Merry Clipmas! Yes, it's that time of the year where you have no idea what gift to get either yourself or your friends. Well, I have you covered. The Perfect Package 5.0 from Manscaped is the ultimate gift, and it features the newly improved Lawnmower 5.0. The Lawnmower 5.0 features dual skin-safe blade heads. The upgraded trimmer blade is wider and tougher for mowing down the thicker grass. But now we have the interchangeable foil blade to get that ultra-close, ultra-sheen finish. Put that dangerous razor away. Let's not ruin Clipmas. Hair of every dang length is now removed with one trimmer. The Lawnmower 5.0. And even better, the light has been upgraded to bigger and brighter. Plus, it has all the same great features. Waterproof, travel lock, long battery life, 7,200 RPMs of clipping power, and a battery indicator. The Perfect Package also comes with a weed whacker to trim your nose and ear hairs, crop soother and crop preserver ball deodorant, and 2 free gifts, a travel bag and box. Looks like Clipmas came early in my house. You don't want to come early though. So after this video, head on over to manscaped.com/5-points and get 20% off and free shipping. Again, that's manscaped.com/5-points for 20% off and free shipping. Merry Clipmas. The NFC East, the New York Giants. Matt Dodge. Need I say more? Back in 2010, he had one job against the Eagles. Tom Coughlin told him to punt the ball out of bounds and let the game go to overtime. Nope. One Deshaun Jackson punt return later, and my Christmas and honestly my whole life was ruined. Dodge would never play for the Giants again. The Washington Commanders. On one hand, it's hard to hate a man who finessed Dan Snyder out of $41 million guaranteed, but Commies fans will remember his exceptional lack of effort on an infamous Monday Night Massacre at the hands of the Eagles. And Albert Haynesworth might also be hated by people who don't like having their faces stomped on. Philadelphia Eagles. Terrell Owens had a valiant performance in the Super Bowl after what should have been a season-ending injury, catching 9 passes in the loss to New England. But T.O. spent the entire next season talking his way out of Philly, eventually getting suspended by Andy Reid and then going on to join the rival Cowboys. Speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, Greg Hardy is and should be hated for his penchant for domestic violence. It's no wonder why the Cowboys immediately cut him when they found out. Just kidding, that all happened before the Cowboys signed him to a 1-year, $11 million deal. And yeah, they knew about it. Dallas fans with a conscience, both of them, were rightfully upset, and for good reason. The NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. There are a lot of reasons the Packers blew a seemingly insurmountable lead in the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks. But the most impactful play of that game came down to backup tight end Brandon Bostic, who let an onside kick bobble out of his hands, enabling a miraculous Seattle comeback. To this day, you can't even mention his name in Wisconsin without heads getting so hot they melt the cheese on top of them. Honorable mention goes to Kevin King, who is also banned in the city. The Minnesota Vikings. Oh, so many kickers to choose from. It could be Gary Anderson, who had a chance to seal a trip to the Super Bowl in 1998 and decided to leave his one miss of the year for when it counted the most. But yeah, it's Blair Walsh. The Detroit Lions. I almost did Adrian Peterson because he tore up the Lions many a time and then did actually play for them in 2020. But older fans will remember Scott Mitchell as the quarterback who got a big payday and proceeded to waste Barry Sanders' prime years in Detroit. He also complained about the way he was portrayed in the Sanders documentary, which is to say, accurately, something he was not. I also got a lot of votes for Donkey Kong Sue, who, despite his production, would commit some really dumb penalties. The Chicago Bears. The Bears traded a high second-round pick for one promising wide receiver, Chase Claypool, who gave no effort in the blocking game and had close to no production in the passing game before getting his walking papers. They should have done their homework on a guy who wasted seconds off the clock celebrating a first down. Shout out to Chris Conte, one of the most hated safeties by his own fan base to ever live. The NFC South, the New Orleans Saints. Eli Apple was burnt toast for the majority of of his career in New Orleans after they traded a pair of picks for him back in 2010. Of course, a pair of picks is more than he ever had in New Orleans. 1 year, 0 interceptions. But don't worry, Saints fans, trust me, he hates you too. The Carolina Panthers, Ray Caruth. This one's pretty cut and dry. In 2001, Caruth was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, among other charges, in connection to the shooting of his pregnant girlfriend, Sharika Adams, in 1999. That's a little worse than John Casey kicking the ball out of bounds. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Keyshawn Johnson's time with the Buccaneers had its ups and downs, and some hit and miss performances on the field matched with an outspoken aura and a public trade request in 2003 that definitely soured some Bucs fans, even if he did help them win the Super Bowl. Atlanta Falcons. It's pretty incredible that there's not one real player who's to blame for 28-3. Instead, we have to give a shout out to Tack McKinley, who never lived up to the hype as a first rounder following that Super Bowl. He wasn't a good teammate and didn't know how to act on live TV.
I completed the promise. That means every fucking thing to me.
NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Williams muffed not just one, but 2 punts in the 2011 NFC title game against the Giants. A couple of moments of heartbreak that will forever be burned into 49ers fans' psyches. What sucks is, I don't think you should hate him. He actually handled it really well. Also, Richard Sherman just never felt quite right. The Seattle Seahawks. From Go Hawks to Let's Ride, Russell Wilson has been the target of plenty of Seattle scorn recently, but let us not forget certified drop machine Jeremy Stevens, whose butterfingers hurt the Seahawks in Super Bowl 40 almost as much as the refs. He then went on to run his mouth more than his wife at a traffic stop. The Los Angeles Rams, drafted in the first round by the St. Louis Rams in 1996, running back Lawrence Phillips showcased promise, but struggled with consistency and discipline problems. His behavior, including Greg Hardy-like legal troubles and clashes with coaches, hindered his success. Despite flashes of talent, it was easy to be frustrated with the fact that he spent more time in jail than in the end zone. Him and Aaron Hernandez would have been great cellmates, though. The Arizona Cardinals. Matt Leinart was a 2-time college champion, but he only won a handful of games in the desert and was probably better known for his hot tubbing antics in the pros than he was for anything on the field. The AFC East, New England Patriots. Is it too easy to say Aaron Hernandez? Probably, yeah. I mean, he scored 18 touchdowns. Instead, I'll submit Asante Samuel, who let a chance to finish off the Giants slide through his hands and now spends every waking moment bashing Bill Belichick. Or Wes Welker, who dropped a pass so badly, even Gisele Bundchen weighed in on it. The New York Jets. Mark Sanchez is a tricky case. You can argue he was good enough to lead the Jets, but fumbled when it mattered the most. Get it? But fumble. How about we just give it to Blitz boy Jamal Adams, who recently insulted a Jets beat reporter's wife on Twitter. The Buffalo Bills. It's not Scott Norwood. Bills fans, most of them, forgave him after wide right. Also, they had much bigger fish to fry a few years later when O.J. Simpson proved that murder was legal in the state of California. The Miami Dolphins. Deion Jordan was the 3rd overall pick by the Fins in the infamously weak 2013 draft class, and Jordan derailed his career after doing PEDs and effectively serving a 2-year suspension. One of the least discussed busts of all time. The AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers. How do I not give it to Antonio Brown? Well, that's because Antonio Brown never threw 2 passes so bad that people thought Neil O'Donnell had bet on the Cowboys in Super Bowl 30. However, I did get a ton of votes for another AB, Artie Burns, who lived up to his last name. Baltimore Ravens. It's strange to imagine, but there's a universe where Joe Flacco wins back-to-back Super Bowls if Billy Cundiff could have aimed that kick about 30 yards more to the right. Of course, that boot did get them Justin Tucker, so maybe Ravens fans should be a little grateful. Cleveland Browns. It's Deshaun fucking Watson. Never before has a player so selfishly compromised the team's cap space and their fans' morals. Okay, I say selfishly, but that's on the Haslets. Jesus, he's so bad now that he's getting Browns fans to love Joe Flacco in the year 2023. Groper Cleveland earned the largest guaranteed contract in NFL history that's going to hamstring the Browns for years, all for a quarterback who can't stay on the field and can hardly produce when he's on it. And don't bring up stats, he fucking sucks. Cincinnati Bengals. Vontaze Burfict wasn't just a headhunter, he was an untimely headhunter. And his most egregious hit of all was the cherry on top for an all-time playoff choke by the Bengals against the damn Steelers. He could never control himself, and despite his tough-nosed play, he ended up costing the Bengals more than he helped them. The AFC South, Tennessee Titans. Tackle Isaiah Wilson was the 29th overall pick in 2020 by the Titans, but appeared in one game before the team cut him for a monumental lack of commitment, showing more interest in rap than spitting hot fire on the offensive line. The Colts traded up to get Jeff George first overall, and that never ends badly, does it? George held out for 36 days, hated the fans, and intentionally feuded with the team to try and get traded. This for a guy who in 4 years had a 14-35 record as a starter. And he was a known asshole everywhere he went, but it all started in Indy. The Houston Texans, haha, welcome back Groper Cleveland. Even before the massage stories came out, Groper was building a pretty solid case to be hated in Houston for holding out and demanding a trade, which is especially ridiculous in hindsight, knowing all the terrible shit going on behind the scenes. Really? You want to draw more attention to yourself? Good one, Groper. And the Jacksonville Jaguars. I said it Jaguar on purpose. After a 5-year, $27 million deal to come to Duval, Hugh Douglas racked up just 3.5 sacks in 1 year before his release and admitted to essentially stealing from Jacksonville during the 2003 season, calling it a vacation. And finally, the AFC West, the Denver Broncos. It's easy to pick Raheem Moore, given the gravity of his mistimed jump against the Ravens in 2012, but at least he was trying. You can't say the same for Jawan James, the left tackle who signed a 4-year, $51 million deal to come to Denver and played in just 3 games in 2019 before opting out the COVID year, then tearing his Achilles away from the team facility in 2021. Now that's how you steal money, Hugh Douglas. Quick shout out to Melvin Gordon, who had about as much ball security as Russell Westbrook. The Las Vegas Raiders, such a wide selection. It would be really easy to say it's Jamarcus Russell, but it's Jamarcus Russell. It's not that he was terrible at football, didn't bother to watch tape, and drank more lean than water. People forget that he also held out of training camp before taking a single snap in Oakland. And all that to be Jamarcus Russell. The Los Angeles Chargers, sure, Marlon McCree gets a lot of flack for fumbling the ball after a late game interception against the Pats in the 2006 wildcard round, but hey, he didn't intercept the ball. David Boston inked a huge deal to come to San Diego in 2003 and was eventually suspended by Marty Schottenheimer for cursing out a strength coach. The Kansas City Chiefs. Younger fans will certainly point to Dee Ford lining up offsides and costing the Chiefs a huge game. Hell, even younger fans will point to Kadarius Toney lining up offsides and costing the Chiefs a huge game. But non-Zoomers will remember kicker Lynn Elliott, who missed 3 field goals in a game against the Colts in 1995 that would have given the Chiefs an AFC West crown and the top spot in the AFC. Yeah, he's banned from the city. Well, there you have it. Did I miss any? Leave your own team's most hated player in the comments below. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video.